to Arnava Yoga Studio. I'm Kat, for those of you who haven't met me before. Okay, alright, so for today we are going to try some Pilates. So this is a complete beginner's introduction. You don't need to have done anything like this before, but it is important to bear in mind that you are listening to your body. Don't do anything that feels uncomfortable or painful, and bear in mind as well that it is going to feel a little bit easier the more you get used to doing it. So a couple of things to think about. We spend some time sitting on the floor, so if you're not comfortable sitting on the floor, grab a nice thick cushion, and you can even try folding it over. Then that goes underneath your hips, and that just makes sitting on the floor a little bit easier. We spend a bit of time on our hands and knees. So if you become aware that your knees are a little bit uncomfortable sometimes with pressure on them, maybe get a folded up towel, and then our knees can rest on the towel. And then as well, if you find putting your wrists flat on the floor, we can use our towel for that as well, maybe even two towels, just rolling them up. And then as you put your hands around it, it just takes a little bit of the flattening of the hands out, and you can just sort of grip around the towel. Alternatively, you can come on to your fists. So there's a couple of things we want to think about when we're working with Pilates, that everyone always talks about and associates with Pilates. One is our posture. So when you're lying, particularly when you're lying on your back, it's really important that we look after our back if we're working with our stomach muscles. So when you're lying on your back, you just want to make sure that you've not got your back pressed into the floor and you're not arched up too high off the floor. So that's something that you can have a little play with, you tilt forwards and backwards with, and then you find a point where you feel like you're somewhere in the middle. And that's different for all of us. For some of us, that might mean we've got a little bit more contact on the floor. For others, it might mean we are a little bit higher up off the mat. And once you find that position when you're laying on the floor, we use the same position when we're trying to sit. So you can try tilting forwards and backwards when you're sitting, and even when we come to standing. So the other one then to think about is those core muscles in the belly. So we're going to talk about those. And then we also use our pelvic floor. So the pelvic floor is a little bit easier to find. It's just like trying to stop yourself from using the loo, and you're going to feel that little bit of tightness coming in at the tops of the legs. The other one is our core muscles that run across our lower belly, our transverse abdominis muscles, and they're quite deep ones. They're like your magic pants. They help to hold you all in. So if you cough, you'll hopefully, little cough there, feel something happening down in here. So they're the muscles that we're looking for. So sometimes you'll hear people queuing about like squeezing into a tight pair of jeans. So if you imagine that you're trying to do the zip up, so you breathe out, do the zip up and the bottom up on a tight pair of jeans, and you start to get these deeper muscles in the belly working. So when we're talking about our core muscles, that's what we're trying to think about using. Okay, now we've had our little notes, we're going to get going. So if you want that cushion to sit on, grab that cushion. Come round to a comfortable sitting position. So I could take the legs out in front, or maybe a little bend in the knees, or if you're comfortable sitting cross-legged, we could try sitting cross-legged. Bring your hands onto your rib cage. So if you feel your ribs, you've got a little curve in that rib cage, and we're just going to let our fingers rest in the middle of that curve. Give your shoulders a little wriggle, make sure there's no tension there. Try closing your eyes, and we're just going to take some nice big breaths in through the nose and out through the mouth. And see if you can feel your ribcage moving under your fingers. Don't worry if you can't feel it. It can be quite difficult to find it when you first try. So long as you're becoming aware of the breath, that's all that counts. We're going to take 5 more big breaths in and out. arms just come down onto the thighs or the knees. Gently open your eyes and take your head down towards your chest. We're just going to breathe out. Roll the ear to one side. Breathe in, come back to the middle. Breathe out, roll the ear the other way. So taking some rolls through the neck, starting to get our spine warming up. So we don't roll all the way back, they're just rolling from side to side. And then at the head, come back into the middle and make some big circles with the shoulders. Maybe you notice that they're feeling a little bit tight, that's okay. And then get the shoulders and they shake out, dropping them down the ribs. And then we're going to use our hands and just circle the wrists around. So we spend a little bit of time on our hands, so on our wrists. So we're just going to get the wrists a little bit warmed up as well. Give the hands a little shake out. And then coming round and into that tabletop position, that all fours position. So using that little bit of padding underneath the knees and the wrists if you want it. Just making ourselves feel a little bit more comfortable. If you're absolutely fine in this tabletop position and you don't need any extra support, then you're just going to place the hands under the shoulders and the knees under the hips. So we're going to come into the cat stretch. As you breathe out, round up through the back. And as you breathe in, see if you can just dip the chest. So just pressing the belly and the chest to the floor. Breathe out, round up. So we're making a dome shape or a C shape with the back. Breathe in, stretch through the belly, stretch through the chest. So once you've got the spine moving, you might notice that the shoulder blades as well can move one way and then the other. So as you breathe out, the shoulders move away from each other. And as you breathe in, the shoulders squeeze back into the middle of the spine. We're just going to have one more. And then bring yourself into the middle. Taking your support away if you've used it. And we're going to come all the way down to lying on the mat. And this is called our swan dive then now. So the arms are just going to come out to the side. You've got to bend in the elbows. Keeping the elbows in line with the shoulders. Breathe in, pull. So you breathe in. So if you just squeeze your glute muscles together. So if you try and roll your heels in, you might notice, you can even give your hands on your bum if you want, if it helps, that your bottom muscles, your glutes, start to work. And then really important muscles is when we start to take ourselves into back bends because they give us a lot of support. So we're going to breathe in, squeeze those glute muscles in, and at the same time, pull your shoulders back and try and take your chest up off the floor. Breathe out, roll back down. So breathe in, pull the shoulders back, lift the chest. It doesn't have to be very far, maybe the elbows don't even come up off the floor, but we're going to start to get that backward movement through the spine, engaging the muscles in the lower back. And those are all important glutes. Just see how far you can come up. Maybe start to take it a little bit higher. We're going to have one more. And then we can either just stay here and let our head rest on our hands for a minute with the toes still pointing in towards each other. Or, if you feel comfortable in a kneeling position, take yourself all the way back with your hips towards your heels, let your head come down to the floor. Maybe even make a little pillow with your hands for your head to rest on. And we're going to let the back relax there a moment. And then push yourself back up onto your hands and knees. So we're going to come into this tabletop position again. So make sure you support the wrists, support the knees, the hands, if you need it. So we're coming into our extended tabletop with our legs. So we're going to breathe out and tuck the right toes under, slide the foot away and just lift the leg. Breathe in, take the knee back down and then swap sides. So we're going to slide the left foot away. Breathe in, lift. Breathe breathe out lower. So moving from side to side. We don't want to kick too far up towards the ceiling. So if you were to imagine you had a bowl of soup on your hips, you're trying to keep that soup still. So what we're not looking for is kicking up the legs so high that you're dipping through that back. So that means we're going to still that imaginary soup. And it puts a little bit of unwanted tension into the lower back. So we're going to just try one more to either side. If you're feeling really confident here, just bring the opposite hand in for one last one to make it a little bit harder. Lift the fingers and the toes. Slide the hand back in underneath the shoulder. And then try the other side. So we're going to slide the left foot and the right fingers out. So it's something to start to work towards, is working with that balance with both arms and both legs. And then bring yourself around onto your back. See if you can perhaps have a little rock with the knees from side to side. Maybe that feels quite nice on your back here. And then the feet come down towards the floor, and we're going to take it into our one leg stretch. So we're doing really well so far. We've done a little bit of work with our back and our hips and our glutes. Now we're going to start to think about those core muscles, those tummy muscles a little bit more. So breathing out, we're going to pull the belly in and just see if we can take that little bit of movement through the lower back that we talked about right at the start. As you think about finding that midpoint, it's really important as you start to work with those stomach muscles here that we're not arching too much through the lower back. So nice and easy to start, hands just by your side. We're breathing out, just sliding the right foot away. Breathe in, bend. Breathe out, slide the left foot away. Breathe in, bend. So as we're sliding the foot away and then pulling it back in, we're starting to get those core muscles just working a little bit harder. So that lengthening through the legs might be hard enough for today, otherwise we can make it a little bit harder. And we're just going to breathe out, take the right foot up off the floor, stretch the toes away and see if you can lower it a little. Maybe it comes all the way down to the mat. Breathe in, lift, take the foot down and then swap sides. So breathe out, take the left foot up, stretch away, lower. Breathe in, lift, take it back to the floor. So one more to either side. And there's one more little option then to make it a little bit harder if you're feeling really strong. We're going to take both feet up from the floor and then we work alternate legs here. So breathe out, straighten, keep pulling that belly in and bend. Breathe out, straighten. If it's too much, just come back to that other level. And we're going to have one more with either leg. So again, next time, so you've got a little bit, you can challenge yourself that a little bit more by varying the levels that you use. So give yourself that little stretch out from fingers to toes, just stretching through the belly. And then we're bending the knees here again. And we're going to come into our shoulder bridge. So it's a little bit of movement through the back and we're going to work with that pelvic floor. So finding that space in between the legs, so you can just pull up on a pelvic floor, imagining yourself trying to stop yourself using the loo. Breathe out, turn the tailbone up to the ceiling so you feel yourself rocking over that pelvis and the lower back just starts to press into the floor. Breathe in, come back into the centre again. So breathe out, roll through the pelvis, squish the lower back. Breathe in, release it. And then we start to take that a little bit further by lifting the hips up a little higher. So you breathe out, roll over the tailbone, and then peel the back up off the floor, seeing how far you can lift up. And then breathe in, curl back down towards the mat. So breathe out, roll up through the spine. So it might just be you only come onto your ribs, you don't even get to the shoulders today, but that's fine. Just see how far you come up. Breathe in, roll back down. So a little bit of work with those glute muscles here as you lift up. You're trying to use those muscles in your bum again, just to give you a little bit of support. So as you're breathing out and rolling up, we've got the pelvic floor support, and then you want to feel those muscles in your bum squeezing in to help you lift. So just going to have one more. And then give yourself that little stretch out from fingers to toes. Again, maybe shake the legs out. And then roll onto your side. So just come onto whichever side you feel you need to be on. If you want to stay watching the camera, I'm just going to shift that microphone around a little bit. That's it. So we've got the arm out. That can give us a little bit of cushioning. Or you can take your cushion that you've been using to put underneath your bum, and that can support your head, and the bottom arm just rests out in front. So take it wherever you feel is most comfortable. We're going to bend both knees, and then the top leg is just going to straighten out away from you. So you're going to come back to using those tummy muscles in the belly. So breathe out, squeeze into that tight pair of jeans, and take the top leg up. Doesn't have to come far. Breathe in, lower. Breathe out, lift. Breathe in, lower. So we're going to do that 3 more times. Keep pulling that belly button in towards the spine and swap the legs over. So we're going to bend the top leg, straighten out the bottom, and then try it again. So this time we're working with the bottom leg. Breathe out, lift. Breathe in, lower. Breathe out, lift. Breathe in, lower. So 3 more with the bottom leg. Good. So that's our first side done. So just spin yourself around onto the other side. So again, use that cushion if you want underneath your head. Bend the knees so that they're roughly at 90 degrees with the hips, and then straighten out your top leg. Using your core, breathe out, lift up, breathe in, lower. So again, we're not worried about how far it's lifting. Doesn't matter the height of the lift, we're still going to be working those muscles all around the top hip, and you're going to notice that work for the inside of the legs as well. So 2 more with the top leg. A little bit of work coming into those side muscles in the waist as well with that top leg. Swap the legs over, and then lift the bottom leg. And then come round back onto your back. Give yourself a little hug with the knees, maybe take a little rock with the knees. And then we're going to come up to sitting. So remember, if you want that cushion, find that cushion to sit on. Just taking the legs out in front, sit tall, we're going to breathe out, just twist to the right. Breathe into the middle, breathe out, twist to the left. Just moving from side to side. If you find it a little uncomfortable with the legs straight, try with a little bend in the knees. So 1 more to the right, 1 more to the left. And then bring those knees a little bit further in. Give yourself a little hug at the knees. Maybe you want to hold around the backs of the thighs rather than over the shin. Try and let your head come down towards the knees. And then we're taking the legs out in front. So this time we're going to try and work with our legs as straight as we can, because we're going to come into a little bit of a hamstring stretch. If it's really uncomfortable for the back, then we need to keep just a little bend in the knees, but you're probably going to find you can still feel that stretch coming down the backs of the legs. So the toes are just flexing up towards the ceiling. We reach the arms out, and as you breathe out, just bend at the crease of the hips. See where the fingers fingers come, they might be hovering over the shins, the ankles or the toes. Breathe in, sit up. So breathe out, stretch forwards. Breathe in, sit up. Breathe out, stretch. Breathe in, lift. Breathe out, stretch. Breathe in, lift. And then for this one, we're just going to hold it then for a couple of breaths. So breathe out, come forward, let the hands rest wherever feels comfortable. Try not to round through the back so we don't take the chin to the chest. We want to keep the chest reaching forwards. And just take some big breaths in here. Feeling that stretch through the back, maybe notice the legs, maybe notice a little bit around the lower back. And then we're going to sit up. Bring yourself back round then into that all fours position. Tucking the toes under and just walk your hands back in towards knees. Try to push the weight from your knees to your feet. Rolling up through the spine, coming all the way up to standing. And we're going to do that a couple more times. So breathe out, chin down, roll towards the floor. Bend the knees as much as you need to help you to come down to the mat. Breathe out, roll up. So if you can calm down the straight legs, then fab. Breathe in at the bottom. And then sometimes a little bend in the knees just to help you roll up. Just takes a little bit of pressure out the lower back. This time, as we get to the top, just breathe in, reach the arms up. And then as you breathe out, let the hands come back down by your side. And there we are, we're done. So that is your first Pilates session completed. So I hope you enjoyed it. Remember, the more you keep coming back to these things, the easier it does get. And if please like or comment about the video, subscribe to the channel if you want to come back and try some Pilates again. And I look forward to seeing you sometime in the future for another video.